para got conflict.
Someone help. Low blow, low blow.
Aiming with.
Did you know that even the toughest fighters can pick a fight with the wrong person? And sometimes that wrong person happens to be the referee. Yeah, you heard that right. Some athletes just don't know when to chill and end up butting heads with the refs. Today, I'm going to share some of the craziest moments where real fighters tangled with referees who turned out to be way tougher than anyone expected. You won't believe the strength and resilience these refs showed. So let's dive in and get started. 1. MMA fighter attacks the referee and the referee fights back. Razi Jabari was on the edge, folks, and let me tell you, he wasn't hiding it. After a string of losses in the URCC ring, the stakes were sky high. Jabari had been warned. Lose tonight and say goodbye to your pro MMA license, courtesy of the Games and Amusement Board. The climax hit when Honorio Benario, the local legend from Lakai MMA, got his arm lifted in victory. Standard stuff, right? Shake hands, maybe give a hug, and show some respect, not for Jabari. The man flipped the bird right at referee Joey Leperton and unleashed a storm of expletives. But Joey wasn't having any of it. He stepped up to cool things down, but the Iranian lost his last screw. He shoved Joey and landed a sucker punch. What happened next? Joey clinched and took Jabari down to the mat, pacifying him MMA style. That's what happens when you mess with the wrong referee, folks. Jabari learned it the hard way. 2. Referee joins a 2v1 fight at RXF MMA show in Romania. At the RXF, Real Extreme Fighting Gala, things kicked off with a twist. It was 2 against 1 right in the cage. Yeah, you heard that right. Alexandru Bobicioiu faced off against the duo of Meici Sidi and Dustinel, and man, did it get heated. Sidi and Dustinel, they played it dirty, ganging up on Bobicioiu like it was nothing. One had him in a chokehold while the other was throwing punches and even sneaked in a cheeky kick to the backside. But hey, the referee, Yamato Zaharia, wasn't about to let this circus slide. Just when Dustinel thought he'd come back for another round of cheap shots, Zaharia was on him like a hawk. He shoved him down to the canvas not once, but twice, and landed a stinging slap across Dustinel's face that probably left a mark. Security stormed the cage, and it was game over for Dustinel as Zaharia dragged him out of there. What started as a 2-on-1 soon turned into a fair 1-on-1. But Sidi tapped out almost immediately, leaving Bobicioiu more frustrated than triumphant. What a night, proving once again that in the wild world of RXF, expect the unexpected. 3. Fighter was knocked out in 5 seconds, then choked out by ref. You wouldn't believe the wild MMA showdown that went down in August 2018 at the Crimea Rush Farewell to Arms event in Yalta. This bout was no ordinary slugfest. It had all the makings of a blockbuster movie scene. Carlo Caput floored Renal Lyatifov just 5 seconds in like a beast unleashed, and bam! Down went Lyatifov, and Caput, not skipping a beat, hammered down a few more punches before the ref could call it quits. But hold up, the real madness kicked off right after that knockout punch. Lyatifov, all dazed and confused, started wrestling the ref, Arman Ananyan, thinking the poor guy was his opponent. In a twist you had to see to believe, the ref flipped the script and locked Lyatifov in a guillotine choke to simmer him down until his crew could rush over to peel him off, not getting down and dirty themselves. The whole scene was so out there that folks gagged non-stop about the insane lengths the ref had to go to keep things under control. 4. 2 MMA fighters keep brawling after referee calls off match. At the MMA Series 75 All-Stars Showdown on December 2nd, the octagon turned wild when 2 brawlers just wouldn't take "it's over" for an answer. So here's the lowdown. Right after Artem Tarasov snagged a rear-naked choke on Evgeny Urshov, the ref called it quits on the match. But guess what? Tarasov wasn't having any of that peace-out talk and started throwing punches the moment he got on his feet. Then bam, all hell broke loose. The cage became a storm of chaos as a bunch of folks dashed in to break these two apart. It took a whole squad of beefy refs to pin Tarasov down and cool his jets finally. What happened next with Tarasov's fate? Unclear. But a disqualification would have been a no-brainer. Oh, and this all went down in Moscow, Russia. Can you believe it? 5. Angry fighter challenges referee after knockout. Back in 2014, The Hague was the place to be for an absolute barn burner of a kickboxing match. Edson Fortes from Cape Verde threw down with one Javier Barragan from Spain on the fiery Infusion Rookies card. This match wasn't just a fight, but a spectacle that went down in the history books for its edge-of-your-seat thrills and spills. These two warriors were all about giving as good as they got, trading blows like the pros they are. Every round was a nail-biter, with the crowd barely keeping it together as these fighters unleashed a storm of strikes and tactical mastery. Talk about a clash of titans. But hold up, the real drama kicked off post-knockout. Edson Fortes dropped Barragan like a sack of potatoes, sealing a knockout that echoed through the arena. But Barragan wasn't having any of it. Dazed and enraged, he lost his cool big time, getting all up in the referee's grill and sparking off a fiery showdown. Things got really messy as Barragan's crew jumped into the fray, turning the ring into a full-blown circus. This wasn't just a match. It was an all-out brawl that showed everyone what happens when tempers flare in the heat of battle. 6. Fighter gets knocked out, then he proceeds to put ref in submission hold. Right in the heat of a fight, this dude took some serious heat from his opponent, like the kind that sent him crashing to the mat. The ref jumped in to break it up, but hold up. Confused, our fighter hit the deck and flipped the script. He thought the ref was his opponent coming in for more. Without missing a beat, he locked the ref in a submission move. Yeah, you heard that right. He took the ref down. Everyone dived in, trying to peel the fighter off the ref, and after a hot minute, our guy realized he had snagged the wrong target. The ref's face? Pure shock. But hey, you gotta think, the fighter believed the brawl was still on, expecting punches to rain down any moment. Guess that's the only thing that explains this wild submission move. 7. MA fighter chokes out ref after being knocked out. At a Knockout Promotions Co-P event, things took a turn for the insane when Joe Nem, after being knocked into next week, totally mixed up the referee for his opponent. Early on in the lightweight bout, Rise Brink was throwing punches like it was the end of the world. He landed this monster push kick, followed by a barrage of punches that sent Nem tumbling down. The ref jumped in because, let's face it, Nem was out of it and wasn't throwing anything back. But here's where it gets juicy. Nem wasn't about to call it quits. Even though the fight was officially stopped, Nem, still in a fog, grabs the ref and nearly chokes him out right there in the ring. Lucky for the ref, Nem's cornerman dove in just in time to peel him off. So, Nem drops to 1-3, with this being the first time he's been knocked out cold in his career. On the flip side, Brink racks up his record to 3-1. As for the ref, well, this one's definitely going down as a loss in his books. Man, talk about catching the wrong end of the stick, or in this case, the wrong guy entirely. 8. MMA news. Fighter gets disqualified after refusing to let go of submission and attacking referee. Ahmad Al-Darmaki thought he had it all wrapped up when he got Bogdan Kirilenko to tap out with a fierce rear naked choke in the first round of their featherweight bout at UAE Warriors 12. But hold up, turns out victory isn't just about getting your opponent to tap. Even after Kirilenko gave in, Al-Darmaki wouldn't let go, clinging to that choke like it was his lifeline. That's when British ref Mark Goddard, a former light heavyweight turned UFC official, stepped in. And guess what? Al-Darmaki wasn't having any of it. Things got heated real fast. Al-Darmaki shoved Goddard and even tried to grab him by the throat. But Goddard, that Birmingham native, wasn't about to let himself be bullied. He stood his ground like a boss. In the end, Al-Darmaki strutted off, thinking he'd won big, but little did he know he was celebrating a victory that was worth absolutely nothing. That's what happens when you don't play by the rules, folks. 9. Conor McGregor storms the cage and confronts the referee. Conor McGregor was all fired up at Bellator 187 in Dublin. On Friday night, as the first round clock ticked down, his buddy Charlie Ward landed a knockout punch on John Redmond. McGregor couldn't hold back. He leaped over the cage fence like a hero in a blockbuster, rushing to celebrate with Ward. McGregor wasn't officially in Ward's corner, so bursting into the cage stirred up quite the storm. Referee Mark Goddard, who's had his run-ins with McGregor before, wasn't having any of it. He stepped up and told McGregor to hit the road, which only cranked up the UFC star's temper. The tension spiked as he shoved the ref while Goddard was checking on Redmond, who was still down on the mat. But Goddard kept his cool and didn't shove back. McGregor, still buzzing with adrenaline, didn't stop there. He stormed out, but then doubled back, shouting about the stoppage, before finally being ushered out for good. 10. An MMA fighter receives 2 yellow cards and then a red card in a DQ defeat. In the heated cauldron of the 166 event, where the air was thick with anticipation for 3 world title rematches, former UFC heavyweight Arjan Bhullar squared off against Amir Jabari. But this wasn't your ordinary throwdown. It ended with a bang in round 3, but not the kind you'd expect. Referee Herb Dean, not seeing the action he expected, whipped out the red card for Bhullar for dodging the brawl. Yep, you heard that right. A red card straight out of a soccer match, making its debut right here in the MMA ring. Before this bombshell dropped, Bhullar had already racked up 2 yellow cards. Talk about being on thin ice. With just 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go, Dean had seen enough, or rather not enough, of Bhullar's engagement in the fight. One Championship's big boss, Chatri Sityodtong, didn't mince words either. He blasted Bhullar's lackluster performance as unacceptable and a major letdown. 11. Moment ref is forced to choke MMA star to get him to release tapping fighter after rival refuses to let go. Talk about a chokehold that just wouldn't quit. At the World Urtemash Federation event on May 19, 2021 in Kyrgyzstan, things took a turn for the intense when Dulotbek Narmatov just wouldn't let go of his opponent, even after the match was clearly in the bag. Narmatov was headlining the WEF Selection 35 Battle in the Mountains SmackDown, going toe-to-toe with Uzbek brawler Segbekon Sedakbarova. This clash was supposed to stretch over 3 rounds, each lasting 5 minutes, but Narmatov flipped the script and ended it all in just 90 seconds with a guillotine choke that had everyone on edge. But here's the real kicker. Even after the ref called the win, Narmatov clung to that choke like it was a lifeline, totally ignoring the stop. Things got so out of hand that the referee actually had to choke Narmatov to make him release his grip. This wild scene had Jed Meshew, an MMA reporter from SB Nation, calling it out for its sheer craziness. 12. Insane referee save after a brutal rushing elbow knockout in One Championship. This bantamweight face-off at One Championship Fists of Fury. 2 was nothing short of epic, with Mark Abelardo bringing the heat and Emilio Urrutia not knowing what hit him. Round 2 kicked off, and bam! Out of the blue, Abelardo, that Filipino-Kiwi powerhouse, landed this mind-blowing elbow, sending the American Urrutia crashing to the canvas like a sack of potatoes. Urrutia didn't even see it coming. While Urrutia was still reeling, Abelardo's adrenaline was pumping, and he was all set to seal the deal with another whopper of a punch. But hold up, enter the hero without a cape, referee Mohammed Sulaiman. Quick as a flash, he dived in, blocking what could have been a knockout blow, and saved the day. Talk about a close call. Sulaiman's quick thinking not only spared Urrutia from worse damage, but also showed just why he was at the top of his game. Hats off to the ref for his lightning-fast moves and putting his neck on the line. That's what you call a real game changer. 13. Ben Sayers versus Bob Ascolillo. At this 2010 amateur boxing showdown between Ben Sayers and Bob Ascolillo, referee Keith Peterson got more than he bargained for, thanks to a wild case of mistaken identity. Sayers delivered a knockout punch that dropped Ascolillo like a sack of potatoes. The fight was supposed to be over, right? Well, think again. Ascolillo, still groggy and seeing stars, didn't just give up. Nope. He turned the ring into a wrestling mat. Ascolillo, brain all jumbled from that knockout, somehow managed to tackle Peterson to the ground. And what did he do next? He slipped into full mount like he was in the middle of a championship bout. Talk about muscle memory, and let's give it up for Peterson, who, instead of flipping out, just waited calmly for his buddies to come peel Ascolillo off him. No brass knuckles needed, just a good old-fashioned wait it out. You gotta admire that patience in the chaos. 14. Choked out MMA fighter turns on the referee after the bell. Marcus Surin, that UFC fighter, found himself neck-deep in trouble at Bellator 232. Locked in a brutal guillotine choke by his rival Devin Powell, it was like watching a scene straight out of an action movie, but this was no movie. It was the real deal. Refusing to tap out, Surin showed all grit in those nail-biting final seconds of the second round. He'd already powered through another choke in the first round and was fighting hard to break free. With a free arm waving in the air, he was like, "Hey, I'm still in this." Then bam! He flashed a thumbs up to the ref. Yeah, he was toughing it out, but you could tell the guy was not in the best shape. As soon as Powell released the choke, what did Surin do? He tried to take down the ref with a single leg takedown. Talk about a plot twist. That move forced the ref's hand to award the fight to Powell, 15. Roy Nelson explains why he kicked referee Big John McCarthy. Roy Big Country Nelson really brought the thunder at UFC Fight Night in Brasilia, knocking Antonio Bigfoot Silva into next week with a fierce right uppercut. But hold up, it wasn't just his fists doing the talking. After dropping Silva with that knockout punch and piling on a few more for good measure, Nelson wasn't done yet. The big guy made a beeline for referee Big John McCarthy and gave him a light kick. Yeah, you heard that right. Nelson was all fired up, saying he knew Silva was out cold from that very first punch and hated having to hit his buddy, who's also a family man. He described that kick to McCarthy as just a little push, trying to get the ref to step in quicker. Backstage, things got real. Nelson and McCarthy hashed it out, with Nelson airing out his frustrations about having to go extra rounds on Silva when it was clear the fight was over. He even apologized to McCarthy, but stood his ground. 16. Disoriented fighter kicks referee following 8-second knockout loss. Like they say in fight games, protect yourself at all times. And yeah, that goes for referees too. So here's the scoop. Rustam Kudaybergenov had just unleashed a beast of a right hand, knocking Ilkum Nazimov right off his feet. But hold up, the drama didn't stop there. As Nazimov hit the canvas face first, things got really nuts. The guy was clearly out of it, and as he stumbled back to his feet, he mistook the ref for his opponent. In the thick of the confusion, Nazimov didn't just try to get his bearings. Nope, he went full-on wrestler mode on the ref. There he was, throwing punches, pushing, and even landing a kick. It was total chaos. The ref? Well, he had to duck and weave like a pro, defending himself from Nazimov's bewildered barrage. Meanwhile, everyone else was rushing in to break up this unexpected brawl. Now, whether Nazimov faced any heat for mixing it up with the ref was still up in the air. But given the whirlwind, he was caught in. They might have just chalked it up to one heck of a confusing moment. 17. Epic takedown by the referee. Real Extreme Fighting, RXF, decided to shake things up by throwing in public figures and TikTok stars into the ring for their RXF Next Fighter 8 event on September 19th. TikTok sensations CD and Dustinell were headlining, and things kicked off all friendly-like with high fives and a warm hug. But man, once that bell rang, it was game on. They went at each other like there was no tomorrow, trading punches like they were going out of style. Dustinell thought he'd bring CD down with a slick double-leg takedown, but CD flipped the script, snapping on a guillotine choke that had Dustinell tapping out before you could say first-round knockout. But hold up, the drama didn't end there. Dustinell, clearly not a fan of losing, tried to jump CD post-match, as if the ref wasn't having any of that nonsense, and put Dustinell in a chokehold so fierce it slammed him right onto the mat. Security rushed in, and order was restored in the cage just like that. The clip of this throwdown went viral faster than you can say tap out, with fans all over saying Dustinell had it coming. In the world of MMA, expect the unexpected, but also remember, don't mess with the wrong guy. 18. Referee faces possible lifetime ban after shoving fighter in heated altercation. You won't believe what went down at this Pro-Am MMA event in Hot Springs, Ark. Yeah, that's right. A referee turned fighter right in the cage. Referee John Munns, the third man in the cage, was supposed to keep the peace, not throw punches. But there he was, caught on video, getting physical with middleweight Robert Gidron. What sparked it? Gidron clung to the cage to dodge a takedown. Oops! Munns wasn't having it and stepped in, but things got real heated real quick. Gidron, admitting his bad, pushed Munns off. What did Munns do? Pushed right back, and just like that, it was chaos in the cage. They had to pause the fight, throw in a new ref, and jump to round 3. 19. A boxer went rogue and punched the referee in feral scenes that followed a fight featuring 5 knockdowns. On New Year's Day, the heavyweight scene got a taste of real chaos at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. It wasn't just any fight night. Oh no, it was a showdown featuring Victor Faust and Iago Kiladze that stole the spotlight. Not even the main event could top this. These two were throwing punches like they were going out of style, racking up a whopping 110 shots in just over 1 round, per CompuBox stats. The crowd was on the edge of their seats as these heavyweights dropped each other 5 times in 2 rounds. Faust nailed 3 knockdowns, while Kiladze claimed 2. Just when you thought it was over, as the ref, Samuel Burgos, called a stop to the madness in round 2, Kiladze lost his cool big time. The man went rogue and threw a punch at Burgos. Luckily, it just grazed off Burgos's arm, and he even chuckled it off. Meanwhile, Faust was already celebrating his shiny, undefeated record, which now stands at 9 wins, 7 by knockout. 20. Battered boxer punches referee after TKO loss. Fabio Wardley, that man from the heavyweight ranks, brought the house down in Riyadh on that unforgettable night of October 28, 2023, over at Boulevard Hall. It was a showdown with everyone on the edge of their seats, with Wardley and his rival David Adlai stepping into the ring undefeated. Boy, did they promise a spectacle. The PPV crowd had already gotten a taste of knockout thrills earlier, and these two titans were not about to disappoint. Wardley, the favorite, had this vibe as if he owned the place right from the bell. Cool as ever, even with that heat from their last brawl back in September still hanging in the air. Come the 7th round, Wardley was dishing out punches like it was payday, landing a monster combo that sent Adlai to the mat like a sack of bricks. Adlai managed to drag himself up, but it was just in time to eat another brutal flurry, sealing the deal with a TKO that had everyone talking. Adlai, not happy, not one bit. He thought the ref called it too soon, got up in his face, and even gave him a shove and a jab to the gut. Not the hardest hit, but hey, you don't go punching the ref. With the clock ticking down the last few seconds of the round, some thought Adlai could have kept going, but that stunt might just land him a timeout on top of his first ever loss in the ring. Honestly, what do you expect when real fighters mess with the wrong referee? Do you think they just get a pat on the back in this sport? So, I'd say they got what they deserved. What's your take on it? Let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, hit the like and subscribe buttons because trust me, this channel brings you the most riveting content. Thank you for watching. See you next time.